The following CTV program has been made possible by the support of Access Options Incorporated. By providing wheelchair-accessible vans, stairway and porch lifts, and complete driving systems, Access Options assists persons with disabilities by providing complete access to life. On the web at accessoptions.com.
Hello, I'm Mary Ann Thykett, Executive Director of Community Television, here with news about Community Express. Community Express is changing. Over the next few months, we'll be introducing new features, new faces, and new opportunities for you to get to know what's happening in Santa Cruz County. Our first major change is one of length. We've shortened the program to a half hour. We think this will create a more lively and interesting presentation while appreciating your busy schedule. We are also going to be out in the community more, covering local events and activities and bringing them back to you. As we make these changes, we'd like your opinion about them. Let us know what you think is working and what suggestions you have, from topics to cover to guests you'd like to see. Send your ideas to me at this website or call 425-8848. With your help, we can build a better Community Express program. Thank you.
Welcome to Community Express. Today we're looking at the impact of the mortgage crisis in Santa Cruz County. Families are still losing their homes to foreclosure in record numbers. Some say it's about to get worse. I'd like to welcome Bill Purdy to the show. He's an attorney who specializes in predatory lending cases. He helps out folks who got bad home loans. He works at the law offices of Simmons and Purdy in SoCal. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
We had you here in 2007. At that time, you were saying it's going to get bad, bad, bad. And at the time, there were about 905 notices of default, which is the first signal of foreclosure coming. 2 years later, it's double. It just keeps getting bigger. What's next?
We anticipate that the pace and number of foreclosures will increase dramatically.
Dramatically? What's dramatic?
I think the best way to describe it is that the banks are no longer going to draw out or postpone the foreclosure process. In California, non-judicial foreclosure, the type that you're typically seeing, the shortest time it can take is 110 days, and we're getting a lot closer to that figure, and we're moving away from a practical limit previous to that of about 8 to 9 months it was taking to do a foreclosure.
Wow.
So
but I thought we had a moratorium. There was talk of that a few months ago, that it's a moratorium on
I think that
fast.
Anyone that's in the system knows that's not so. There certainly were some voluntary actions by banks for a very brief period of time, about 10 days, stopping foreclosures, and then they picked right up where they were before. And they have not lessened, they have in fact increased.
So nationwide, about 1 million homes were lost last year?
1 million were lost to foreclosure. That doesn't count the number of homes that were sold short. It doesn't count anything else. They anticipate now between 7 and 8 million more foreclosures are known to be in the pipeline.
How can that be? 7 or 8 million? We've already lost 1 million? What went wrong? I thought there was supposed to be a federal fix for this.
Well, that, I think, thereby hangs one of the most extraordinary tales which needs to get out to people in the community. Regardless of your politics, regardless of your feelings about helping other people generally, your elected representatives guaranteed, using your tax money, $3 trillion worth of debts of the financial industry, and gave them somewhere, depending on who you talk to, $600 billion in cash. At the time they did that, to the current moment that I'm speaking to you, they have imposed not one single substantive requirement that anyone be given a loan modification.
So let me say that back to you. We, taxpayers, have spent or are spending $3 trillion to bail out the lenders.
Private profits, that is correct, with public money.
But there's been no requirement that they have to offer loan modifications to the folks who are about to lose their homes.
there are no substantive requirements saying that even one person is entitled to a loan modification of any kind.
So what did our money go for?
That remains to be seen. It basically went to make sure that the financial industry did what they choose to do. No one has ever asked them to account for their behavior, and they're not accountable to anyone. There are no fines, there's no oversight, and there's certainly no requirements that say this number of people in this category must be given loan modifications.
So really it was a way of saving the industry, but what's trickling down to the individual who's faced with a bad loan? I
liken it more to crumbs that once in a while do fall off the table during a huge banquet. That's what gets to the actual homeowner. And in a very useful way to analogize this situation is if anyone has children or had to bail out an errant spendthrift family member who had run up a huge debt and was maybe looking at ruin, and you were to step in and pay off their debts and cover them, one would anticipate that you would have very stringent rules about how the money was spent. No such thing was done here. The money was basically thrown at the banks. They have behaved like rampaging elephants with what they've received and are doing precisely whatever they choose to do in this area. And the way to determine this is simply ask anyone that's applied for a loan mod what they've been through. And they will tell you, because we see hundreds of them that come in. The stories that we get are, they're almost impossible to believe.
Tell us some of them. And explain the situation. So somebody's got a terrible loan, they can't pay, they're going to go into foreclosure, they go to their bank and say, please modify my loan.
The most typical thing that you will see is that the people send in their financial information 10, 12, 15 times. Over and over, they are told their information is lost. They're told their information was never received. They're told that their loan mod is imminent, that it's in document review, and it never arrives. Nothing ever happens. At the same time, many, I would say most of the borrowers are told, we can't even look at doing a loan mod for you unless you are behind in the payment of your loan payments. They will never put this in writing, but they always tell the borrower on the phone that we can't help you unless you're in default. And of course, once they stop paying because they think that's going to entitle them or help them to get a loan mod, they go into the foreclosure process. And the foreclosure process continues, and I can't actually remember the numbers of people I've spoken to who were applying for a loan mod and were foreclosed upon while they were in the process.
Even while that bank, is it a matter of part of the bank knows and it's just not being,
it is,
or it sounds...
It's worse than that.
Yeah, it sounds
What you find out with some of the lenders is that the lenders have in essence farmed out the loan modification process to an independent company that contracts with them to handle it. Now that sounds, outsourcing like would be a wonderful thing, but that company has no connection whatsoever to the computer systems and is not in any way aligned with that bank. So whatever they do over there at that company never gets loaded into the lender's system. And even the person who manages to get a loan mod, it is in fact not integrated into the lender's system. The people start paying on their permanent loan mods and are foreclosed upon, or foreclosure proceedings commence against them.
So the family thinks they have a modification, they do have a modification, they're paying on the modification, and at the same time their home is foreclosed
upon.
The
only person who doesn't know about that apparently is the lender, because that information about their modification was never uploaded into the lender's system.
How common is this?
We have 3 of them right now. We can only guess, because we are a 2-person law firm in SoCal, that there are hundreds, if not thousands of these. And that is just one example. The types of things that occur. I had a gentleman come in to see me who was told that the other homeowner was on the verge of getting the final approval for their loan modification. We went online and the home had been foreclosed upon by the lender the year before, about 6 months prior. The loan, of course, there was no modification to do. The foreclosure had occurred. The bank already owned the property.
And they didn't know.
And they apparently were negotiating to do a loan modification, which is a very interesting idea at that point.
Yeah. So if people are watching and they're in this situation of having a notice of default, starting to enter the foreclosure process, what should they do?
The most important thing for people when they're looking at, can I get a loan modification? Should I let my home go in foreclosure? Should I try to what's called short sell my home, or sell my home and have the lender agree to take the less amount of money? They need to get competent advice about what their liabilities will be in terms of, will they still owe the lender any money? Will they owe taxes, which is a huge issue that's not explained to them at all. And in fact, as is so common and so heartbreaking for me that I see with the people that come and see me, they need to understand that they have no right to a loan modification at all, that their monies were used to save a private industry who in turn shows not the slightest inclination to actually give them anything in return. I've had many, many borrowers who are told by the lender, you're lucky we're even looking at your loan at all, which
so people
under the
think
circumstances actually is quite an outrage in my opinion.
Yeah. So families think they have a right to a loan modification, but there's nowhere in legislation or any understanding that they do.
That is exactly right, and it's so sad because they come in and they say, we've done everything they've asked, we've given them everything over and over. The people I see are exhausted from doing this. Any one person or even a couple that tries to enter the loan, it is not unusual for them to have worked a year or 2 years trying to get a loan mod only to be turned down, or trying to get a loan mod to be told they're going to have one, it's imminent, and have it never arrive.
And so they should call HUD? Who should they call?
One of the things you can do, obviously, is you can call us. We do not do loan modifications. However, there are services that can help a homeowner negotiate their way through the loan modification process. It does not guarantee that they're going to get a loan mod, of course, because nobody can do that because Congress never bothered to make that a requirement.
And is Congress talking about that at all? Is there any hope that there'll be a real fix to this situation?
If you want my honest appraisal, the answer is no. And the reason is we have government now that is essentially deadlocked. If you go and see what's going on in Washington, there is a counter to every single move that goes on now. Nothing gets through that will help the American homeowner. The last 4 or 5 things that would have helped, particularly changing the bankruptcy code, were immediately defeated every single time they came out.
Well, and something so simple, you could just promise 30-year loans at a certain percentage to everybody. And that's not being talked about.
It gets talked about. The problem is, how do you get it through? Because if it gets through, for instance, the House of Representatives, the Senate of the United States will defeat that in a moment. And the reason they will is because that particular body is thoroughly co-opted by the lending industry. There isn't anything getting through for people.
So you're saying regardless of party, money is controlling the House and Senate, and it's the lending industry that's controlling it.
It is particularly, I would say that in the House you see a lot of initiatives based at helping American homeowners. They don't survive the Senate, they don't get through. And so the House is definitely trying. It is by nature a representative body. But once it gets to the Senate, it gets locked up and it never gets out. And so, although there are many, many good ideas, I think, that are out there, how in the world can they possibly get through? That's the problem.
So we've only got a minute or so left. You're doing a workshop for folks on February 19th. There are workshops on foreclosures that people can go to learn what they need to do. And
there are definitely HUD-certified organizations you can go to attempt to get a loan mod, and I recommend that, and we can certainly supply people with those. They are not places where the borrower needs to pay anyone. Believe it or not, the best service in this area is free.
And that's supplied by HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban
Well, HUD
Development.
certifies these organizations, but they are organizations that have been in existence for quite some time, and when you get to them, they will decide and evaluate your case. And sometimes the best thing they do is they tell the homeowner, we don't think you'll ever get one. That in itself is a tremendous service, because then that person knows they don't need to waste their time trying to get something they're never going to get.
And you can get that for free. Don't pay for these services.
You absolutely can, and you should not be paying anyone that says, give me money or pay me along the way thousands and thousands of dollars to get a loan mod. I can't.
Yeah, get out of there. Get out of there quick.
Can't stress enough, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for talking to us. We're talking to Bill Purdy. He will be at a foreclosure workshop that CTV will cover on February 19th. You can look for that workshop to be covered on air and on the web at communitytv.org. And for more information about the event itself, please contact the Watsonville Law Center. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Up next, the importance of vision in young children. If children aren't diagnosed at an early age with vision problems, it can stunt their brain development.
We're seeing Canton today. Canton's a 9-month-old. He's coming in through a program called InfantSee, and InfantSee is a free assessment of children under 1 that doctors volunteer to provide services through the American Optometric Association.
Dr. Scott Daly is an optometrist in Santa Cruz. He's been working in the field for over 28 years. His father was also an optometrist, and I want to thank him so much for joining us on Community Express. How do you test the child, and again, how early can you test them?
So we recommend checking children before the age of 1, between 6 and 12 months of age. And there's 4 things that we basically want to rule out: high farsightedness or high astigmatism, a misbalance where one eye has a high prescription compared to the other, the weak eye doesn't get used, is ignored, and doesn't develop fully. And the 4th is the eye teaming and alignment.
So once you find out that there might be a vision problem with the baby, what can you do about it?
Well, typically we actually are conservative and we recheck a child actually 3 times. So if we catch something that's very significant, we're considering a prescription for the child, we'll check them usually a week or 2 later, and then about 2 weeks after that. Once we've established that we have good baseline targets for prescribing, we actually prescribe glasses, and I brought a couple of samples. These are little glasses made for infants. There's no metal parts to them. They're very bendable, flexible. And this is another metal frame, again, for maybe another infant. Just some different designs that we have. And one of the obstacles is a lot of parents would think, oh, they'll never keep them on their face. They'll just take them off. They won't leave them on. But actually what happens is when children can see it's such an improved, profound improvement to their vision and function, they embrace it and they love to wear them. So you can't even get them away from them. Statistics show 10% of children under 1 year of age have significant undetected vision problems or eye teaming and coordination problems, focusing problems. And we also know 20% by age 5 have these same problems. So you can say 1 out of 5 children entering school each year probably are not prepared at their full potential to learn and develop.
Wow, so I guess I really want to get that. 1 out of 5 children won't be at full potential to learn and develop, so they might really have trouble reading and starting out in school.
Yes, and we usually traditionally catch those kids about 1st grade. So what got me passionate about the program really 25 years ago is I had personal experiences with 2 patients, 1st graders. Both of them had fallen behind in reading. The parents presented that the kids were normal, very bright, sharp, but weren't up to reading. So the child had been caught in 1st grade having a vision problem or a reading problem, had been, I think, seen by the child psychologist at the school. There was questions about maybe having ADD or some kind of a learning disability. And someone just thought maybe they should check their vision at age 6. And within a few minutes after checking the child, we found out they were highly farsighted. And one eye, unfortunately, was so farsighted it never developed fully. So he was never going to see normally for the rest of his life. And I told the parent that, and then I said, gee, if we would have looked at him by age 1 or 2 even, we could have caught it, corrected it, and saved that vision, and the potential of that eye would have been much greater. And her jaw dropped, and she just said, why hasn't anyone ever told me this before? And I said, I don't know why, because I've known about it for years, and this is a story that happened literally 25 years ago. So even today, in 2011, we still have many children not getting their eyes examined early enough and carefully enough.
So really, we might be misdiagnosing when we see so many children with learning disabilities. It really might be a vision disability.
So I believe that's correct. I don't think it's been studied, but I would bet that there's a fair percentage of kids that have been mislabeled with learning disabilities that have simply a vision problem and it hasn't been detected yet.
I'm amazed at how easy it is, because when you say to somebody, we want to check your child at 6 months, it seems like it would be invasive. It sounds very easy. Why aren't we doing it with all children?
I don't know. That's the goal, is we should be doing it with all children. And it just hasn't been really understood, or it's been overlooked for some reason that is boggling to me. I just feel that it's, if you step back and think what's the most important things to be checking here, vision should be at the top of the list as far as learning and development potential.
So what's happening in California? Are you working to get the state legislature or folks moving forward on making sure you test children when they're young?
Yes. In California, I happen to be chairman of the Children's Vision Task Force, which is a task force created by the California Optometric Association. And we did a research and evaluation of what was needed for children's vision. This is 8 years ago, and we came up with 2 fundamental goals. And one is to check children before age 1, and eye doctors should be really doing the testing, objectively measuring for refractive error. It's their area of expertise. And that program, InfantSee, is really the vehicle that can deliver that. So just getting that program out there and getting it communicated that's available is important. It's a free assessment for children under 1, so it's like a no-brainer to incentivize people to come in.
And let me stop you there. Is that available to all children in California for free to have that vision check?
It is. So people can go to infantsee.org. It's infantsee.org. And there's a website, and they'll have a list of volunteer doctors in their area so that they can find a doctor that would provide that service for free.
So you're saying that parents should bring in children to the eye doctor to get checked. But are there other things that they should be looking for in their children's eyes? Like right now, somebody's watching this show. What can they be looking for in their baby that might indicate something is not quite right?
Unfortunately, most vision problems are silent, so children won't complain about blurry vision because they don't know the difference. And so, to me, that makes it even more important for us to be looking at children's vision and assuring that their vision is good earlier and testing children earlier and more comprehensively.
Now Jessica Vo gives us a sneak peek at lots of fun events in Santa Cruz County with our video community calendar.
Hi, I'm Jessica Vo with Community TV, and I'm at 2nd Street Cafe in Watsonville, and you are watching your video community calendar. We are getting closer to spring, and there will be a lot of fun and exciting activities, so come on out in the sunshine and support your local community events. This first one really clams me up. The Santa Cruz Boardwalk is hosting their popular and tasty 30th annual clam chowder cook-off. Come enjoy different clam chowder from your local favorites on February 26th from 10 to 5 p.m. For more details on chowder participants, visit beachboardwalk.com. Also, the weekend of February 26th and 27th, the Pajaro Valley Quilt Association is hosting their 33rd annual quilt show, Quilts Unfold Their Stories, at the Fairgrounds in Watsonville. The show will feature over 400 quilts and needle arts, as well as an interesting fashion show. For a breakdown of the event, visit pvqa.org. It's time to take a close look at your trash. Laurie Brown is having a really interesting exhibit called Trash Series, capturing reality of consumerism through photography. The Museum of Art and History on Front Street is taking dumpster diving to a whole new level from now through March 13th. For more information, you can go to their website, santacruzmah.org. Enjoy a day celebrating and learning about the life of a hummingbird. The Arboretum at UC Santa Cruz is hosting their annual Hummingbird Day that feed, nest, and mate in their gardens. You can also take a tour of their garden, all free with admission. For more information about the Arboretum, visit arboretum.ucsc.edu. And lastly, Cabrillo College will host their Santa Cruz Ballet Theater in concert on March 12th and 13th. The performance will include an electric mix of classical and contemporary dance, featuring a world premiere by award-winning choreographer Robert Kelly. For showtimes and prices, check out scbt.org. That wraps up the upcoming events for this month. To learn more information about your local events, visit our website, www.communitytv.org, and click on the community calendar link. Also, make sure you're a fan on Facebook, facebook.com/CTV Santa Cruz County, and you can also follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/CTV Santa Cruz. I'm Jessica Vo. Thanks for watching your community calendar.
Thanks to Jessica Vo and to all the staff and volunteers at CTV. Thanks especially to Daniel James Howell and Ryan Mulligan for helping to produce and direct the show. Stay tuned each week as we explore issues that affect the world, the nation, but most importantly, Santa Cruz County. And now, to play us out, our own Daniel James Howell and some local officials as they spent time with the Giants World Series trophy at the Coconut Grove. I'm Deanna Zachary. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Daniel James Howell here with Community Television, and we're here to see the San Francisco Giants World Championship Trophy in Santa Cruz.
trying to do the best I can. But these last 3 or 4 years,
we have the Giants trophy here at the boardwalk, and it's exciting. The buzz, the energy, the people are ready for it. We're back in our Giants colors.
I'm a big Giants fan. I'm really excited to have the trophy here in town. I think there's so many Giants fans around Santa Cruz that this is a perfect way to celebrate.
As mayor, are there any special privileges? Do you get to take the trophy home for a night or anything like that?
I could try, but I don't think I want to see the result.
Been a Giants fan long?
All my life.
I waited a long time to see the Giants win the World Series. My dad was a big Giants fan. I wish he was here for this. He always said, they'll do it someday, and I said, never. And they finally did it in an unlikely year. And the trophies, it's just a trophy, but it's what it symbolizes and how much fun everybody has with it.
the playoff fever's giving me the chills. Willie Mays and Will the Thrill, Bobby Thompson and the shot that they heard around the world.
Hear the Beard, that was fun.
Hear the Beard, Ryan Wilson, Romo, and Ross.
Any predictions for 2011?
I think we could repeat.
I got to pick the Giants, of course.
I think it's going to happen again.
You did it once, it's unbelievable it happened. We're so thrilled. It's like, now you guys can do it again.
Giants!
At the bat and Uribe, Brian Wilson in the night. Fear the
The preceding CTV program was made possible in part by the support of Access Options Incorporated. By providing wheelchair-accessible vans, stairway and porch lifts, and complete driving systems, Access Options assists persons with disabilities by providing complete access to life. On the web at accessoptions.com.